Alright guys, so finally got a stand. This is I don't know, video 6 or 7. So yeah, actually got a stand now. So first improvement, many more to come obviously, but again, just want to take you all through the process of what it's like starting from scratch, new journey, and this is something that I'll be doing for years to come, right? And so right now, the focus is not necessarily that it needs to look like a Hollywood movie or studio production, but more so that it's going to be the consistency. And as we make changes, as I make changes, and when I say we, meaning eventually it'll be a crew, cameraman, obviously editors, all that coming on board, then you'll all be able to look back on this beginning and say, wow, this is where it started, right? So again, like I said, it's just the first improvement, one of many. So you can look back in previous videos, you can see I'm literally just holding the camera, trying to be as steady as possible, but it's the first time using the stand, so we'll see how it goes, how you like it, and we'll continue to improve. So today's subject, we want to talk about why you need new friends to earn a high income. And really, guys, that's just clickbait. The real is that you need a new everything, right? So new friends, new environment, a new vocabulary, right? The audio that you're listening to, the literary, the books that you may or may not be reading, right? All of that needs to change if you're going to earn a high income, right? So let's just jump right in. When we talk about friends, right? So a lot of us, if you're anything like me, you grew up, excuse me, some type of way. You grew up in a particular neighborhood, a particular area, right? And you really have these people that you mesh and gel with that you've been knowing since middle school, elementary school, high school. You have these experiences where you've been out together, you had fun, especially if you come from maybe a rougher neighborhood. Maybe you all have been in some pretty hairy situations where maybe you didn't think you'd make it out alive or something like that. And so you all have this bond that's unlike what you would have if you met someone at Starbucks and you said, hey man, you're cool, I'm cool, let's be friends, and you guys hang out, right? It's just a different bond because you all know where each other comes from. You have the same background. Your friends, your mom, your dad, sister, brother, cousins, everything, you all know each other, you know each other's families, right? It's very intimate. And there's nothing wrong with that, actually. There's nothing wrong with that at all. However, what I've learned, what I've discovered with that is those people are not always going to be the people that you need to spend the most time with if you're going to change your financial situation, right? Because you all are from a certain place. That's what you're used to. That's all you quote unquote know. And when I say about all you know, I don't mean that you're not aware that other people make money, right? We're all aware of that, right? It's not to say that you don't know or that you don't at least associate with somebody that maybe makes the amount that you would like to make, but it means that that's not who you're spending the most time with, right? And so when I say all that you know, is this is what you're familiar with. This is your comfort zone. This is your level, right? And everybody has that no matter how much you make or don't make, right? So some people, they are comfortable when they're making $50,000, $60,000 a year. Some people are comfortable making $100,000, $200,000 a year. Some people are comfortable making $1 million, $2 million a year. And some people are comfortable making $50 million a year. And then some people are uncomfortable making $100 million. Right? So it depends on your level, and there's people doing this at all these different levels. So the first thing is if you're going to make that decision, and we're assuming that you have made that decision because otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video, wouldn't be following this channel, then that doesn't mean that you need to eliminate your friends altogether, right? That's not what I'm saying, because a true friend, my father used to say, and he lived 79 years on this earth, and through his experiences, he said, the amount of friends, true friends, that you have in a lifetime, you can count on one hand, right? So one hand, maybe a max of 5. And his definition of a friend was someone that you could tell a secret to, and that's as far as it goes, meaning that they would never tell anyone else. They've always got your back, right? And so the amount of people that truly have your best interests like that, it's not going to be many, right? So when we say friends, associates, these terms can kind of be interchangeable, right? But a true friend that cares about you, loves you, is your friend no matter what, or as Jim Rohn would say, friends are people that know all about you and still like you, right? Meaning they know the worst things about you and the less cool things about you, and they still like you. He's like, those are friends. He's like, you're not going to have many of those. So we're not saying that you need to eliminate those true friends that you have in life, regardless of how much they make or don't make, right? A true friend is priceless. However, the association with other people that we refer to as friends typically, right, that are not so close, or that maybe don't necessarily have our best interests, or even if they do, but you may need what's called a season of separation. Meaning, if you're going to change your life, which is going to come from changing your financial earnings, then you really have to focus. You got to have a period of focus, dedicated focus, and you got to eliminate a lot of distractions. So commonly with these friends, you have certain activities that you love doing together, right? Maybe it's drinking, maybe it's smoking, maybe it's watching the game together, right? Or maybe it's shooting pool, hiking together, whatever it is. There's something that you commonly do that takes up your time that you use as a form of bonding with this friend or friends, right? And in order to earn the high income, there's gonna have to come a season where, I'm not saying that you have to give it up forever. I mean, granted, if it's smoking and drinking, you probably should. But let's say it's just something simple as, you all love to play golf together. There's nothing wrong with golf. But if you want to earn a high income and you're not already doing it, then you're going to have to take a season of focus. And so what that might mean is, and usually what it means is, you're going to have to tell your friends no a lot during this time. And that might be 6 months, it might be a year, it might be 2 years. But if you're really serious about changing, you're gonna have to say no to your friends way more than you're gonna feel comfortable with. And this is a big and, you have to be comfortable with possibly losing what you thought was a close friend. Because sometimes, and I've seen this a lot with others that I know, where as long as you're smoking, drinking, partying, or participating in whatever that activity may be, you have lots of associates, you have lots of people that you can communicate with that want to do that with you. But when you decide to step away and you say, I want to focus on earning a higher income, I want to learn a new business skill, I want to develop my sales skills to be able to quadruple my income. So no, I can't go out Friday night, no, I can't go out Saturday night, or no, I can't attend the baby shower. No, I can't be at every family function. No, I can't be at every church function. No, I can't be at every party. Sometimes that's going to create some friction where they go, you've changed. And they're right, you are changing. That's the point. But not everyone that you think may celebrate that or support that will. And so I'm just telling you now, you have to make the decision that you're going to be okay with that, even if it's going to hurt. And I'm not saying that it may not hurt, because typically there's always at least one, maybe not everybody, but at least one person that you just knew would be clapping for you, celebrating you, and they don't. And it hurts because you thought that person wanted what's best for you, and you're deciding that this is what is the next best step for you, for your life, what you want it to look like, and that person doesn't have your back, and that hurts. And so I'm just here to tell you, these are decisions that you're going to have to make if you want to decide to earn a higher income. Now, with that being said, does that mean you have to cut this person off forever, or you have to completely eliminate these people from your life for good? No, you don't. But you got to take a time period out of your life where you're really going to focus and develop these skills, right? So it's kind of like learning to ride a bike, right? In the beginning, you got to have training wheels, or somebody's, puts a rope on the ground, and, all this stuff. And you really got to focus and practice till you get it, till you figure it out. And nobody can tell you how long it's going to take. I mean, some people are going to learn quick, some people might take a little bit longer, but eventually, if you stick with it, you can learn to ride the bike. And then after that, you don't even have to think about it again, right? You can just start pedaling. And business sales skills is very similar, right? In that, in the beginning, you really have to focus and put that time in learning it, right? And this is where you're cutting these people out. But once you get it, once you got it, and you know what you're doing, then you can set your life up to where you can spend time back with whoever and still do your sales, still do your business, and have that income that you want, right? So you're basically creating a life. But in the beginning, it's front-loaded work. It's not backloaded. You put all the work, or the majority of the work, in developing yourself up front, and the rewards come later, right? So then once you get to where you're going, and you got it, and you got the skills, and you feel confident in your skills that you can replicate the results that you've been achieving, and you can continue to grow those results, then that's when you can bring your friends back and go, okay, now I can start going to some parties again. Now I can meet up and go out again. Now I can show up to the baby shower again, right? Or whatever the functions are that you eliminated, right? So step one, I would say friends. And along that also is, when I say friends, not only that, but just the association, right? There is a mindset that is common among every income level, and there is a vocabulary that is common to every income level. So let me give you some examples to share what I mean. So let's say someone makes $50,000 in a major city in America, right? So we can say Charlotte, Atlanta, Miami, you name it, Dallas, LA, Scottsdale, right? You make $50,000 in one of those cities. You don't make enough. I don't care if you're a single person with no family. You don't make enough, period. So what's a common vocabulary that you're going to hear? It's too expensive. Things cost too much. The government needs to do this. Such and such politician needs to do that. Oh, this policy isn't whatever. The company doesn't pay whatever, right? Or I only make such and such per hour. How can they expect me to support myself on this? This is the common language, right? Oh, I don't get paid until the first, then I can do, you name, I can buy whatever, yada, yada, yada. Or, oh man, thank God it's Friday, right? Or, oh my gosh, it's Monday. Or hump day, Wednesday, right? This is the language of vocabulary of people that make that type of income. Or, you could do it on layaway. Or, hey, we can make this payment plan. How many months can we extend out the payment plan to be able to pay for this, whatever. Oh, we're taking a trip. Oh man, you know what? I can save money by driving there. Or, you know what? We can all put our money together and we can all split a room up so we can save money. Or, oh, you know what? I got a friend, cousin, auntie, sister, brother that lives there. We could see if we can stay with them and that'll save us some money, right? Everything's about saving money. Oh, there's a sale. Oh man, don't buy it today, right? Because the next holiday's coming up and they're gonna have a sale and then you could get it for 50, 60% off then rather than paying full price. So, get the discount, right? That's the language of someone that makes $50,000, $60,000 a year. Now, is it good, bad? Who's to say? But again, this channel is dedicated to those of you that want to earn a high income. So for us, that language is, And the other things that they say that I no longer say is, I can't. I can't because, or I couldn't because it's someone else's fault. Whatever it is. Blaming, hey, it's someone else's fault. It's his fault, it's her fault, it's the system's fault, it's this, rather than accepting responsibility, right? So those are the vocabulary and beliefs of someone that earns that type of income. Now, let me tell you about someone that earns, and I'm gonna say commission sales, right? Because If you have a job and you earn 100, 150, you're still a much higher producer than the average. But again, you're still in the employee mindset and you still haven't fully betted on yourself, right? Because if you can make 100, 150K a year in someone else's business as an employee, you can certainly make $500,000 or $1 million a year on your own. So you still haven't quite bet on yourself yet, and you might be heading into what's called the golden handcuffs arena, where you make so much at your job, you quote unquote can't quit, because now you got to take a step back to even take 2-3 steps forward, leaps forward for yourself, right? And you build a lifestyle around that income to where now you really can't afford to miss any checks, right? So those are what's called golden handcuffs. But let's say you're starting to make 200-300K a year as a salesman, as a business owner, right? Then you stop looking at things as too expensive. You start saying, well, who can afford these things? Or what do the people that buy these luxuries, what do they do? How do people afford whatever that's so expensive, right? Because they're selling. Rolex is a great example. I just went to the Rolex store in the mall recently, and they straight up told me, they're like, we don't have anything for you to buy. Now, I want you to think about that. A Timex watch costs what, 40, 50 bucks? And I think Rolexes start at 5 to 10 grand, and they're sold out. And they're like, yeah, we make 1 million. And I don't know if that's true or not, but the lady there at the counter, she said, hey, we make 1 million watches a year, brand new. And when we're sold out, you can order something. We don't know when it'll come. We'll put you on our waiting list, but we're all sold out. These are just displays. So on one hand, someone at a certain income level saying things are too expensive, nobody can afford it. But then you go to a Rolex and they're all sold out, and they're selling stuff for 100 times what a Timex costs, 1,000 times what a Timex costs, right? So you start asking yourself, okay, who are these people that can't afford that, right? And then you start asking yourself, okay, what information is it that I need to learn? What skills is it that I need to develop to be able to earn what it is that I want to earn? Or what is it that I need to do differently to get to the next income level? What are the people at that income level that I want to get to? What are they doing, right? So let's say you're making 200,000 and you want to make $500,000. You start going, okay, well, what are the people that are making $500,000? What are they doing? And if you're in sales, it's a very simple process. You already know probably people either in your office, or you can look for people in other offices and say, okay, who's making $500,000 or $1 million a year? And sales is very easy to do. This, a lot of times, like I said, it's people in your office are already doing that. You don't even have to leave the office. And you start looking, okay, what is this man, woman, team, group, what are they doing that you're not doing, right? And so a lot of times, especially with sales, you can look around, you can see, hey, such and such has been making this much for years. Such and such has been making it for 2-3 years. Hey, such and such is brand new, and 2 years later they're making blah, blah, blah. What are they doing that I'm not doing? You can start to ask those people those things, right? And the beauty of sales and business, to a degree, right? Sometimes people are a little more competitive in their own market or their own office, but for the most part, there's just so much opportunity that you couldn't handle it all, even if you could get it all. Right? So like I'm in real estate. The average transactions per year is about 10,000. Meaning 10,000 homes are going to be bought and sold in a calendar year. For me to hit all of my financial goals, I need to sell like 100 of those, right? So there's like, not to say that I couldn't build something that could handle 5,000, because certainly could. But me by myself and what my goals are, I don't need all 5,000 of them or 10,000 of them, right? I need 100, not even 1%, right? Barely 1%. So it's like the pie's so big. So the willingness to exchange information is a lot more. And then if there is a case where there's some apprehension because they might see you as competition, then you can certainly go to just another market, right, down the street or the next state over, and then those people will open the books up for you because they don't see you as competition, period, because they're like, you're not even in my market, right? We're not even competing for the same clients or customers, period, right? And they'll be happy to share it, they'll be happy to learn from you. So again, the language changes to not it's too expensive, but okay, who has it? Who already does it? And then what are the people that have the income that I want? What are they doing differently, right? And then, like I said, you start looking for coaches that can coach you to get there better. You start looking to participate in mastermind groups, right? Where it's other like-minded individuals that are either on the same path as you are, or maybe even a step or two higher, and you start exchanging ideas with them, right? Now you start looking at, how do I find these people? And again, once you found them, well, okay, how do I associate with them? How do I befriend them? How do I get them to want to have lunch with me? How do I get them to want to take a phone call with me? How do I get them to want to respond to my messages, right? But that is your language, because now you're looking as to how, instead of saying it's just too much, right? And you start looking at money. No, you stop looking at money as some type of limited resource, right? So your vocabulary changes, and it's no longer about I can't. You eliminate that, period. Like, that's no longer in your vocabulary. I can't. No, that's not in your vocabulary anymore. It's all about I have not made it a priority. I have not disciplined myself enough or I have not been consistent enough to achieve whatever. But you start putting the responsibility on yourself for the outcomes, because now you can control the responsibility that you have. Meaning, again, like I said, let's say you want to get in shape, but you haven't been in shape, you haven't lost the 50 pounds yet, right? Well, you're not going, you no longer go, it's too hard, or I just can't seem to lose the weight. No, you're honest with yourself and with others, and you say, I have not disciplined myself to consistently work out. I have not shown up to the gym consistently like I should have, or like I know I'm supposed to. I am not willing to say no to the sugar or to the desserts because I just really enjoy, I just really enjoy my sweets. So that's why I'm overweight. But again, you stop with the I can't, or it's just not possible, or it's just so hard, right? And you start acknowledging that, hey, no, I just haven't made it a priority. I haven't made it important enough yet to actually accomplish the results that I wanted, that I say that I want, right? So that's a huge shift in your vocabulary and also in your belief system when you talk about getting to the next level of income and how those people think, right? Now, when you start looking at millionaires, again, totally different vocabulary. It's no longer about it's too expensive, I can't afford it. It's all about if it's out of the budget and they can't reasonably or comfortably afford it yet, then it's like, how do we put a plan together, or what plan do I need to implement to be able to get it? Or it's just a matter of putting a plan together, right? Or it's just a matter of what income stream do I need to create, or who do I need to hire, or what coach do I need to hire or pay to help me learn, or to help me develop, or to figure out how to do it. That's it, right? And typically they already have the network of people in their phone that they can reach out to, that they can go, hey, who knows how to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, blah, blah. And someone goes, oh yeah, Bob, Mary, Sally, Sue, talk to him, talk to her, call him, call her, you click that call, boom. Now you're already rocking and rolling, right? So that's how it goes. But again, the vocabulary at the bottom, very toxic, very limiting vocabulary, where you remove the power from yourself and you put the responsibility for your outcomes on everyone else. Whereas at the next level and beyond, it's all about you having the responsibility, you having the power, right? So next, new environment. Right, so nobody talks about this enough, I think, but my personal opinion is where you live makes a huge impact on your performance, right? And I'm not discounting um, living in the ghetto or the hood or whatever and having such poor living conditions that you're ready to do whatever to get out of there, right? I certainly recognize that and acknowledge that that is a reality. And typically the sports businesses, they love marketing that story to people, right? That this young man or this young lady comes from very poor backgrounds, comes from a very broken family, and therefore they're extremely motivated to get out of there, and that's why they're so great at sports. And now here they are, a multimillionaire, right? That is the story that they love to sell and market, right? And there's truth to it, right? There are certainly men and women that have come from places that they're like, look, I was trying to get up out of there, and so I was willing to do a little bit more than the next man. I was willing to hit a little harder. I was willing to run a little faster. I was willing to go or exercise or work out a little bit more than the next person because I had extra motivation. Because to them, it was just a game, but to me, it was my way out of this situation, right? And so their motivation, because of their poor living situation, they decided to use that as energy, as a catalyst to cause them to perform at extremely high levels. And now, therefore, they are able to escape that because they were able to earn a high income. And I certainly recognize that. Now, for everybody else, typically, the environment is going to hold you down, right? So when you live in, I would say, a low-cost living area, whether it's the ghetto, whether it's the hood, or whether it's just an area where it's just inexpensive, the energy there is a lot lower. And it's a lot, how do I explain it? So I'll give you guys an example. I was staying at Airbnb recently, and it was a beautiful home, but it was in a lower cost of living area of town, right? So the photos were accurate. The house was very nice, but it was in my opinion, what was a bad neighborhood, right? And so the entire time there, I was mentally stressed as far as for my safety regarding staying at the Airbnb, because like I said, the neighborhood was sketchy. The house itself, great, loved it, loved the house. But the location of the house, it just left my spidey senses up, right? And so to me, I thought about it was a great reminder, because when you live in a low cost living area, there's always this sense of danger is imminent, right? Because it is. There's always this sense of lack. There's always this feeling of either animosity or sadness or anxiety, right? Or just a overall feeling of lack, of struggle, right? And then it's like you look at the environment, and the telltale signs are always there, right? Like it's always liquor stores, it's always pawn shops, right? There's always bars on the windows of places, right? Businesses, it's like a cage, right? They're jailed in. You look at people's houses, they're jailed in, right? And then you have people just kind of sitting around, lounging all day, not being productive, right? Then you got a lot of homeless that are crawling around. You got people out of their mind, right? And that type of environment is not really conducive to you needing the energy or feeling the way you should be feeling to produce a high income, right? Again, like I said, outside of just being like, man, I hate this so much, I need to do whatever I gotta do to get out of here. But again, still, that's not the feeling that typically creates the highest level of success, nor does it create the sustained success. So usually what I recommend is, as soon as you can, change your environment, right? Go someplace, move to someplace, even if it's a little more than you can afford. Especially, again, like I said, this is for those of you who are focused on earning a high income. This is not somebody that's just like, I just want enough to get by. This is for those of you that like, hey, I want to earn $500,000. I want to earn $2-3 million, and I want to figure out how to get there. I'm willing to work to do it. Get into a nicer area of living. I can assure you, it's going to change how you look at everything. And when I tell you, I mean, the stores are different. The roads are different. The people are different. When you leave the low-cost living area and you go to a more expensive part of town, everything changes. You never see any bars on the windows of the establishments because they don't feel threatened. There's nobody, for the most part, breaking into those stores, right? So they don't have bars on the windows. When you walk outside, you typically feel safe, right? You don't feel like there's imminent danger around the corner where any moment somebody could attack, somebody could shoot, somebody could start fighting. You don't feel that. When you walk into the stores, people greet you. They are happy. People are smiling, right? They're not arguing with the sales associate or the cashier. They're not telling them why such and such is so expensive, or how you gypped me for $2. That doesn't even exist, right? Like, go to an upscale mall, you'll see these things. It's a totally different vibe. People are happy. They're spending money. They're smiling. There's less anxiety, and there's a feeling of abundance, right? And I'm telling you, when you live in a nicer area, you see different things, right? You don't see these cars, right, with missing bumpers and hoods, and, you know, it's all beat up, right? And you got, you know, the windows are taped with a trash bag, and, right? You don't see that, right? Like, you live in a nice area, you will see people driving your dream car. And not, when I say people, I mean you will see multiples of it, right? And I've seen this time and time again. Like, I remember when I was in the military, and again, people in the military, to a degree, they're doing well financially. Now, it depends on who you compare them to. Again, right? You're comparing the people at the bottom, they're doing well. You're comparing them to high six-figure earners and multimillionaires, they're a stepping stone, right? So it depends on who you're comparing them to. But again, they're not necessarily the bottom or the broke, especially when you start talking about people that have been in the military for 10 years or more. Now they're starting to, you know, earn some decent income, whereas, you know, someone is brand new, E1, E2, they ain't making nothing, right? So again, there's still levels. And, you know, now you're talking about somebody that's been 15, 16 years, they're certainly earning a nice income or decent income, right? And they may even be, you know, at low six figures, depending on where they live and what their rank is, right? So they're making some okay money. So when I was in the military, it's like when I would come to the parking lot, every car that I even thought I wanted to buy, it was somebody already owned it. Like, you just walk through the parking lot, you can see the Chevy Camaros, the Dodge Challengers, the Chargers, right? Maybe an officer, higher ranking officer might have a Porsche, right? I'm pretty sure if you walk today, the new Corvette that looks like a Ferrari, I guarantee you there's Corvettes in all the parking lots of the military, right? So when you're in a nicer area or a much better area that costs a little bit more, where people are making consistent income or a better, higher consistent income, you see these things. And what it does for you subconsciously is it makes it real and it makes it possible, right? Because it's one thing to look at a magazine. It's one thing to go to the dealership and sit in the car and smell the leather and touch the steering wheel and talk to the salesman. It's a whole nother thing to go to the grocery store and then see a man or a woman stepping out of the very vehicle that you want to buy or that you would like to own one day. It's a whole nother thing to go to your favorite restaurant and see somebody pulling up and jumping out of the very vehicle that you want to buy and seeing their kids jump out like it's nothing. I'm telling you, it does something to you because it takes it from this impossible or esoteric or, unrealistic goal that maybe someday, and it brings it down to reality, because now you go, wow, it's normal for somebody. Somebody's already accomplished it. They don't even think about it. It's just a part of their life, right? And so that's why I so highly recommend changing your environment. Also, because the change environment will also make you realize how small your goals are, right? We're talking about earning a high income. We're not talking about making hundreds of millions of dollars. We're not talking about becoming a billionaire, right? Because for one, billionaires don't listen to this stuff for the most part, because they just got such a big vision that they're just working on their vision all the time, and they got a totally different mindset, right? But for those of us that just want to earn a high income, when you start to earn a couple $100,000, you're going to realize how little it is relatively to what's available out there and relatively to what people are actually making. When you get out of the low income areas and you stop comparing yourself to those who only make minimal, right? Because if you look at income as a ladder, it's an infinite ladder, right? The first rung is minimum wage. Literally, first rung is minimum wage. Next rung is maybe $20, $30 an hour, right? And then from there, $50 an hour, $60 or $70 an hour, right? Or a salary, right? So you get paid $100K a year, but you're on salary, so we don't know how many hours you're gonna work. You might be 40, 60, or 80 hours a week, but you're gonna make $100K no matter what, right? And then from there, you go up. And then somewhere at the top of the ladder is like $2-3 billion a year income. And I'm not exaggerating when I say B as in Bravo, B as in billion, B as in boy, right? $2-3 billion a year income is the top rung of the ladder, right? So you have this whole income ladder that you can play on and that you can climb, and people feel that they have arrived when they earn $200,000 a year, right? And again, yes, you're way better off than someone earning $10 an hour, whatever minimum wage is now. I don't even know what it is, but let's say it's $10 an hour. So if it's $10 an hour and you're making $200K a year, absolutely, you're doing way better. But compared to someone earning $2 billion a year, you couldn't even cover the taxes on them. Even if they were at a 60% tax rate, you still couldn't even cover the taxes for them, let alone the income, right? So when you get to a better environment, then you start realizing, like, man, there's this huge ocean of income, and I'm trying to go to it with a little teaspoon instead of a bucket, right? Or instead of a whole freaking boat or whatever, right? Whatever I can get, but I'm literally going to it with a teaspoon, saying this is all I want. So when you get into those other environments, that's where you start seeing the lifestyle, you start seeing the houses, you start seeing the cars. When you go to different places, like something I noticed as I moved to different areas is I noticed people have valet at the nicer shopping centers. When you go to a low cost area, nobody can, well, for one, they can't afford it. And two, they, even if they did have enough spare change, they wouldn't spend their money on it anyways, right? Because they don't value that convenience. They don't value that time that much, their time that much, right? So again, the nicer parts of town, they have valet at the restaurant. They have valet at the shopping center, right? So they have better quality food, right? So if you look in, let's say if you wanted to get free range eggs, you wanted to get grass-fed beef, you wanted to have a farmer's market where your local farmers, locally sourced fruits and vegetables. Guess where you're not going to find those at? The lower income areas. There might be an industrial area, which is different, but the low cost living areas, that's not where you have those stores. Why? Because they're on food stamps, right? They want to get the cheapest food possible, which is the worst for your body. So everything about these environments, again, low cost living areas, is not really conducive to someone that wants to make a high income or wants to sustain a high income. So that's why I recommend, as soon as possible, make the jump, right? Get to where it costs a little bit more. The gym membership costs a little bit more, right? It costs a little more to rent. But again, it's a different area. You're gonna have different neighbors and you're gonna interact with different people that are doing different things, right? And so it's so important on your journey to earning more, because I'm telling you now, it's it's a pipe dream, right? And I know hip hop industry does a great job of making it seem like people do something for the hood, or they do something for the ghetto, or they do something for their people, or whatever it is, right? But the reality is, I'm not aware of anybody, and listen to me very closely, I'm not aware of anybody that makes over 300K a year that lives in a low cost living area. I do not know the person. I know you hear the Dave Ramsey's out there and they're like, own everything, don't have it. I don't know anybody that can go through the pain, that can go through the mental gymnastics that are required to go from 50K to 300 and beyond, that can go through all of that and then still live in Timbuktu, or still drive a pony car, other than just a few miserly people that are just so afraid. Like, I think Ocho Cinco is a great example, right? This guy's suppose I would have to assume that he's a millionaire, former NFL player, right? He eats McDonald's and still drives a smart car, right? But he's so afraid that the money won't be replicated, right? And to me, that's not the goal, to live like that. Like what is the point of making millions if you're still going to live like you make 30K a year, right? That's just a waste of time, right? So we're talking about making it so that you can have a nice lifestyle and you can still continue to make more and more money and earn more and more and have more and more in the bank as you learn to produce more, right? So we're not looking for you just to earn more to live like a pauper, right? So again, majority of the people that I've come across, they don't live in a low cost living area, and they drive a nicer car, period. Right? It comes with the territory. That's what you're working for. And obviously it's not just things, right? You want to do for mom, you want to do for dad, you want to do for your husband, you want to do for your wife, you want to do for your kids, right? And all that comes with it. But again, I don't know anyone that's like living in the ghetto and doing legal business that's making $500,000. I don't know the person, have not come across it. And I would utter to say that you're not aware of it either, because why in the heck would you live in such a place when you're making that much money? You wouldn't, right? So again, as soon as you can, jump with the environment. And then lastly, the information you're taking in, right? So I don't know if you entertain yourself or not, but here's what I'll tell you. The news, I would recommend cutting out all news. Let it go, turn it off completely. I know it may sound crazy depending on where you are in life, but here's what I'll tell you. I have not listened to the news. This is 2024. Probably 2004, so probably about 20 years now. 2005, about almost 20 years. I have not turned on the 5 o'clock news, the 6 o'clock news, the 8 a.m. news, the noon news. I have not turned any of those on. I have not listened to any of those, and I can tell you I haven't missed a single thing. Yep, that's right. I haven't missed a single thing. Turn the news off. It's 98% negative. It's 98% distraction, and 99% of the stuff you can't do a single thing about. Some lady got robbed today. Some lady got raped today. Some baby was killed today. Somebody got murdered today. You can't do anything about it. But if you hear that story this morning on your way to work, or on the way to building your business, on your way to sales, how can you not, as a human being, not feel some type of emotion like, wow, that's such a sad story. Some man flipped his car over 10 times and killed both of his daughters, and he somehow walked away, and he was drinking and driving. Oh my gosh, that's a horrible story. That's a nightmare. And you have that emotion, you have that imagery, and because, like I said, you're a human being, you go, oh, that's terrible. I mean, man, that guy, he's got to live with that guilt. Those girls, they had their whole life ahead of them, and yada, yada, yada. And guess what? You can't do anything about that. You don't know him. You don't know his daughters. You never knew them, never will. But you've got that on your mind. Now you're supposed to come in and with excitement, with energy, with enthusiasm, ready to work, ready to accomplish, and ready to pursue your dreams. How? How do you do that with that on your mind? And again, you can't do anything about it. You weren't at the bar, or you weren't wherever that man was before he took those drinks. You weren't there to take the keys. You weren't there to say, hey man, don't do this. You can't change that. But now that you heard the story, you gotta deal with the emotions of hearing it and reacting to that. Why? There's nothing you can do about it. And guess what? It's going to happen every day. You can look up, I forget where it is. U.S. Census Bureau. Look it up. 2 million deaths happen on average every year in America. As this normal part of life. Death is a part of life. Surprise if you didn't know that. Sickness, illness, all of that. I assure you, enough of it will come into your life from your own family and friends that you don't need to add to it from whatever happens with the news. If you live long enough, someone in your family will die. If you live long enough, you will have a flat tire if you actually drive. If you live long enough, somebody that you love and care about will get sick. All of that will happen just by you living, period. So you don't need to add to it by watching the news, right? So cut the news off. I'm telling you, it will reduce a lot of the stress. It will reduce a lot of the anxiety out of your life. And it will eliminate a lot of distractions from what you need to build a high income business or high income sales, or earn a high income from sales rather. So cut the news out. The radio. If you're driving to work, if you drive and spend a lot of time in your car, or if you just find yourself listening to music a lot, cut it off. That music ain't making you no money. That music is someone's business. That is a product that they are allowing you to experience, or maybe you can call it a service, however you want to look at it, product or service, or maybe a little bit of both, right? But whatever you want to call it, it is a product that they make available to you that you get to enjoy using your ears, and they get paid every time you listen to it for the most part. Now, you listen, and I don't care who your favorite artist is. I don't care whether it's rap, country, classical music, whatever it is, it's not making you any money. It's not teaching you anything. It might soothe your emotions. It might make you feel a certain way. It might create a certain ambiance and environment, and there's times for that, certainly. But for the most part, you're just going about your day doing a certain activity, and you're missing out on millions of dollars of learning and self-education that you could be doing by what you're listening to, right? If you're spiritual, you could be listening to sermons. If you are, like I said, trying to learn how to, improve your income, you could be listening to sales skills. You could be listening to psychology, learning the different psychologies that people have, because there's only about 5 or 6 of them out there, and the different personalities and how to respond to them, right? If you want to get better at fitness, you could be listening to different ideas on, what's worked for people. Maybe it's keto, maybe it's paleo diet, or maybe it's walking every day, or maybe it's lifting weights, right? But you can be exploring these things and hearing different thoughts and ideas. You can be reading biographies, autobiographies on other men and women that built successful businesses, right? If you want to be a better mom, better father, you could be listening to these things, people that wrote books on how they did it or what they think works or doesn't work. You could be taken from that. And that's going to improve you. No matter where you are, when it talks about earning high income, you got to be a communicator, right? Even if you're going to be a great athlete, what do we love with our great athletes? We love the interviews, right? They got to talk to the media. So improving your ability to communicate, to express yourself, right? And learning how to tell stories, how to create jokes, or how to make people laugh, or how to engage people. All of that's going to come from what you're listening to, what you're putting in. And then that's also going to just come out naturally with your vocabulary. What you listen to, ultimately, especially over time, is emitted with your vocabulary and what you talk about, and what's going to make you interesting or not interesting, right? And again, there's levels to it. If you're on the low income, right, we're circling right back around to the vocabulary and what we're talking about, right? So if I'm in the ghetto, if I'm in the hood and I'm around people that ain't making a bunch of money, what are we talking about? We're talking about smoking, we're talking about drinking, what club we going to, what party we going to, what females we sleeping with or not sleeping with, right? What such and such did, what drama was going on with this person or that person, how this person, I don't like this person, I don't like that person. That's the conversation of people down here that's not doing anything. People up here are talking about ideas. They're talking about plans. They're talking about goals. They're talking about motivation. What trips are you getting ready to take? Hey, what plan are you working on? Hey, are you on track with your goals? Hey, how can I help you achieve your goals? Hey, where you're struggling at with hitting your goals? Oh, by the way, I'm traveling here. Hey, oh, by the way, I'm attending this event. Hey, by the way, I read this book. I heard this audio. You should listen to this. I listened to this podcast. I thought of you. Hey, listen to this. I think you'll get value from it. Hey, by the way, I met this person. They're doing A, B, C, D. I think you should connect with them. Hey, let me introduce you to them. Do you mind if I change your number? Hey, by the way, I've got someone that could utilize your business. Let me send them your way. Is that okay? It's a totally different language. But again, it comes down to what you're listening to, what you're putting in your mind, and then also what are you watching? Really, I think movies are for rich and poor people, but not for those in the middle. Poor for those who have accepted that they're going to be poor, they're living on government assistance, and they don't care to get off of it. Those people can afford to watch movies. Rich people who have already achieved the level of success that they want, and they've got the investments in place to sustain their level of living, they can watch movies. The people in the middle that's trying to go from poor to rich, because really the middle class is kind of a facade, it's kind of a, it's kind of illusion, because really you either got money or you don't, and that's always been the case. The middle class is just a social construct that makes us feel good, but really, let's be honest. It doesn't matter whether you make 80K or whether you make 120K or maybe you make 200K. It really comes down to, do you have money or you don't? If you're making 200K but it costs you 200 to live, you feel stressed. You just got a nicer house, a nicer car. If you make 100K a year, but you've got $2, $3, $5, $10 million in the bank and it costs you 50K a year to live, then you feel pretty good, right? So either you got money or you don't. So really, you're rich or you're poor. So if you're rich and you already achieved your goals, then you can watch the people in between. Again, what could that time be used, right? It doesn't have to be forever, right? But as you're taking this time out to focus and to really lock in, are you that 2 to 3 hour period that you're using to watch a Tyler Perry flick? Maybe you could read a book, autobiography that could give you some new ideas. Maybe you could learn or read a new sales skill, right? And maybe it's the art of persuasion, right? Or art of storytelling or something, right? Like whatever it is that you think you need to work on. And you'll know as you're going about this, you go, okay, what could give me that little competitive edge to maybe make one more sale or to set one more appointment with the next customer that I wouldn't be able to set to before? Okay, what about the person that doesn't think like me, that's got a different personality? They're not from the ghetto, they're from the wealthier side of track, right? They come from a trust fund. How do I communicate with that person and present my sales or present my self as the best option out in the marketplace, right? Or what's this new AI technology that I keep hearing about that people are saying is the future? How can I implement this AI into my business? Or what should I be aware of AI where I have a better advantage over using it or not using it, right? But it's always that when you go, okay, can I use this 2 hours I'm gonna entertain myself? And again, nothing wrong with it on occasion, but that 2 hours I'm gonna use to entertain myself, there's something I could read or study to improve myself, to make my ability to earn high income easier. Until I'm confident I can do this again and again, and if I can do it in my sleep, and it's who I am, right? So that's why I say it's so important. Environment, friends, vocabulary. If you're going to earn a high income, all of these things have to change. And it's a continual thing, right? It's a continual adjustment. It's not I've arrived and so therefore I am. No, it's a continual process, right? It's like, look at all the greats in sports, because they're the easiest to see because we see everything that they do more or less, at least publicly for work related. Tom Brady, Michael Jordan. And I'll even put LeBron James in there. No, I don't think LeBron's better than Mike at all. No, nowhere close. I've watched both of them play. But I will say that what I do respect about LeBron is that his longevity in being competitive in the game is respectable. That I think he's on year 16, 17, something like that. Anybody that can play in a professional sport that long, that is commendable, regardless of how many championships they won or did not win, right? So, but what I want to point out is that year 1 versus year 17, you think LeBron's working out more or less? You think he's paying more attention to his body or less? You think he's got more people helping him to stay focused and locked in or less, right? And so obviously he's got more focus and more attention on trying to stay active and stay healthy and keep his body fit so that he can compete for another season or for another year. Whereas when he first got it, he might have been a little more relaxed, right? Because, hey, I got time, right? But as he's older, he's like, hey, every year, every injury is even that much more of a threat to my career in ending it. So what I'm telling you is, like, when you talk about high income, it's the same way, right? Just because you earned it once doesn't mean you're going to earn it again. Just because it was easy once doesn't mean it's going to be easy again. And the markets can shift. Businesses can change, right? Blockbuster was once on top. Kodak, Eastman Kodak, that one time was a major business. Now it's Netflix. Blockbuster doesn't exist. Toys R Us was once on top. Kmart was once on top. I read Sam Walton's autobiography. Can you believe it? Sam Walton, the owner of Walmart, he used to go to Kmart and look at their store and take ideas from them. So that's right, Kmart at one point in time was larger than Walmart, but now why is Walmart still on every single corner and you can't find a Kmart save for a few podunk towns, cow towns in America? But everywhere else, Kmart has shut down and closed their doors indefinitely. Why? So that's a whole nother video. But again, I'm just pointing these things out because when I tell you that there's changing your environment, changing your friends, or maybe at least a season of separation from your friends, that the information that you're taking in, that it's a continual learning process, it's a continual changing, it's a continual improving upon your skills. I'm showing you real life examples as to people that did or didn't. So like, again, I'll just use Sam Walton real quick. When you read his autobiography, if you decide to, one of the things I noticed about it was that everywhere he went, he was always going to stores and trying to pick their brains and figure out what they were doing to make them successful. That's why Walmart is still titan in business today. Now, I haven't looked at Kmart, but I have to assume that at some point they stopped doing that. I have to assume that at some point Blockbuster, Toys R Us, and all these other titans, Kodak, industries, they stopped looking at, okay, how do I get better? What's changing? And they assume that because they became the pinnacle, because they reached that they were going to stay there, right? And again, like I said, this is a whole nother video, but I'm just highlighting these things so that you can see that this is a process, and it's a continual process of your environment, of your friends, of the information you're taking in, of what you're listening to, what you're reading. That's going to determine how you're able to earn a high income, or it's going to help you earn a high income and help you sustain that high income once you get there. All right. So guys, until the next video, appreciate it if you gave me some feedback. I've gotten my first thumbs up. I'm looking for number 2. Oh man, these are humble beginnings, right? But yeah, looking for that second like, looking for that first comment, guys. Let me know what it is that you do like, don't like, what questions that you have that I can answer for you. And again, like I said, I'm showing you the process because, again, this is just the first video where I have a stand. I'm not holding the phone anymore, so that was the first improvement. But I'm here for the long haul, right? I've been watching Myron Golden. He talks a lot about Solomon, which is the richest man ever to live. You can read about him in the Bible. But one of the things he talked about was Solomon wrote 1,000 songs. And so I don't think that I'll ever write 1,000 songs. Actually, I know I won't. But to me, this is the equivalent. You know, can I put out 1,000 videos, which would be, oh man, if I'm doing one a week, oh my gosh, what is that math, man? Over 10 Ooh, that would be 20 years of 20 years of one video a week. I think if I'm doing that math right, yeah, 20 years of one video a week, just a little bit less than 20 if you're doing 52 weeks, right? Then yeah, it'll be 20 years of one video a week. Wow, I just had to say it like 3 times because I'm just doing mental flips. But anyways, that's what I'd have to do to accomplish that, right? And so I'm not saying that I'm making that type of commitment, but I told you all my commitment was to do one video a week for the whole year, regardless of the results. And so I'm just showing you the process of achieving success and what it looks like. So one day, when I do have 100,000 subscribers or 50,000 subscribers or whatever it is, you'll be able to look back on these videos and be like, wow, this is where you started. This is where the journey began, and you will be able to see that, hey, it didn't immediately jump, because I don't even know how many subscribers I have right now, but I don't even have 1,000 or 100 yet, right? So, but you'll be able to see the quality improve. And so when I get there, which I'm expecting to, then you'll be able to look back and be like, wow, okay, I see the process, I see the journey, I see that it just wasn't overnight, right? And again, you can apply this to YouTube making, but you can also apply it to earning a high income or building and developing a business, right? And learning to speak a new language, fat loss, weight loss, whatever. The process is the same, doesn't matter. So, all right, guys, till next week, take care. And then if well, actually, I probably could have just looked it up on YouTube, but a remote process for turning this thing off and on, so I don't have to get up and walk around the stand and turn it off. If you could drop that in a comment or something or send a link, I appreciate that. All right, take care.